Tonight we're here to tell stories about violence. Violence in communities and violence at the hands of police. I want to start by asking everyone in the audience who's been affected by violence to please stand up. Thank you. I want to read from a speech by Audre Lorde, the poet Audre Lorde. I selected this because I really think it speaks to why we are here tonight. Here are the words of Audre Lorde. What are the words you do not have yet? What do you need to say? What are the tyrannies you swallow day by day and attempt to make your own until you will sicken and die of them still in silence? The machine will try to grind us into dust anyway, whether or not we speak. We can sit in our corners mute forever while our sisters and ourselves are wasted, while our children are distorted and destroyed, while our earth is poisoned. We can sit in our safe corners as mute as bottles, and still we will be no less afraid. Each of us is here now because in one way or another, we share a commitment to language and to the power of language and to the reclaiming of that language, which has been made to work against us. In the transformation of silence into language and action, it is vitally necessary to teach by living and speaking those truths which we believe and know beyond understanding, because in this way alone we can survive. Audre Lorde. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm going to get started by introducing our MC, Damon Williams.
Size City. How y'all feeling tonight, Chicago? Like she said, I am your host. My name is Damon Williams. I'm an organizer, radio host, performing artist, and guy around town, you know. I am a member of the Let Us Breathe Collective. We are an activist alliance of artists and creatives and social justice workers and services and people who believe in freedom, people who are trying to recreate this world for the more just and more equitable, people who are trying to develop a system that does not depend upon violence. So I'm going to invite you to say some words that we use with me right now. So repeat after me. Say, we are here, standing for love. We are here, fighting for freedom. We are here, building community. All right, so that's what this is. That's what this is about. When you're talking about violence, at some point I want to read a definition of violence to make sure that, because too often, we live in this time where we're talking about what the state does to us, how our system impacts our communities. The conservative response, if we want to call it that, is look at Chicago, right? Look at how violent Chicago is. And Chicago is violent, but it's not the GDs and the BDs and the MOs on 63rd Street. It is not people out west that is the cause of this violence, right? So we want to get to what is structurally happening to us as a people, to our space, to our community, and have the real conversation, all right? You? All right. So that is what we are doing. We are here. Anytime I speak love, freedom, and community have to be present in that space. So I'm glad to be a host and MC. We're going to be rocking all night. I am very, very excited and passionate to bring our first presenter to the stage. So if y'all ready to get this thing going, make some noise. So coming up to the stage first is somebody who is very important, which is why they are here. Everybody here is important, but it's important personally in my life. Martina Sutton is an activist who's been organizing against police violence in the response to the death of his sister, Rekia Boyd, in 2012. If you're not familiar with what happened to Rekia Boyd, I'm sure he will explain more. But not just the tragedy of her loss and the pain of losing a beautiful spirit needs to be highlighted when we think about Martinez and their family, but the organizing that has happened as a result of their bravery, as a result of their courage. I probably would not be here saying these words to you today if it was not for the response to such a tragic event and the true courage. There's really not many more words to be able to describe how he presents himself and how he faces the world. So please, from the bottom of your hearts, make some noise and welcome to the stage Mr. Martinez Sutton.
How y'all doing? Yeah, I'm Martinez Sutton. I'm the brother of Rekil Boyd. Just a quick background info. Rekil was struck down March 21st, 2012 by an off-duty officer. You know, end of the story. We didn't get the justice that we wanted. You know, we all know how the system does us. But I got a little piece that I just came up with on my way over here. I just need y'all help for 2 lines, just two lines, once again. So I'm gonna say, rain, 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 and you just repeat after that. Rain, 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 rain. Then I go again, rain, 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 rain. Ooh, we sound good. All right, y'all ready? All right, this is something new. We gonna call it, we sick and tired. Okay, rain, 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 rain. Hold on, I need a little bit more energy than that. Let's try this again. Rain, 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 rain. Rain, 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 rain. And though it helps us to grow, that don't mean it don't remind me of those ain't here no more. I'm getting tired of the same old feeling. It's getting cold, close up that window. It's summertime, but the season don't mean shh, 'cause all you see is a blizzard full of metal. Lord knows how you lying in a second. How you screaming, Geppetto, Geppetto. Boy, why would you create these devils? The whole forest getting level by the boxes they use at the burial. When we get a little big, little terrio, then they change on you, 8-town prostitute. Cameras on, now everybody's watching you. Then it's jig, yeah, y'all know what to do. We stuck in a war, no khaki suit. Contracts on our lives, we the living proof. That's why every time I see the rain, 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 rain. Rain, 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 rain. Even though it helps us to grow, that don't mean it don't remind me of those that ain't here no more. Now, if a coup happened, would you turn turkey? You the government or the military. No such thing as dignitaries if you steady passing poison berries. The mortuary is full of innocent lives. The guilty get to see, the dead is blind. Zombified doesn't like its thrill of night. Trying to kill our light, our sons are dying like. Our stars ain't bright. Trying to take our black girl magic like abracadabra, but this not a trick, it's tragic, no value. Bald heads loading in the clips there, Cal you, and your kids too. But call yourself the GOAT, but Earl, the drugs you smoke took your dreams and hope. Got you feeling dope till you notice. Everything is gone hocus pocus. Better watch your focus. Before you really won't be able to see what's coming. Ventriloquist or the dummy. Now know your move, family. Don't let them hand you back to slavery. Then they really try to master your baby. That's why that rain, 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 rain. That rain, 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 rain. Yeah, I know it helps us to grow. That don't mean it don't remind me of those that ain't here no more. The rain gone.
Yeah, running this night.
If you love yourself, say, I know that I'm beautiful. This time, like you mean it, say, I know that I'm beautiful. Now look at somebody, say, I know that you beautiful. If you love your city, say, I know that we beautiful. Make some noise to yourselves if you believe the words that just came out of your mouth. And then go ahead and keep that going for Brother Martinez Sutton for bringing his beauty and his art to the stage. You know, I've recently come up with this language. Love is the meeting of heartbreak and joy. And so Martinez has been an example of what love looks like and putting that into action, even through some of the deepest heartbreak. Because that's what this is about life. And what life is about family and our loved ones. So make some noise one more time for Martinez. We're gonna keep this thing right on going. You might as well not stop clapping. Our next performer is a young, talented vocalist and writer and poet. She kills every open mic that she's been a part of. She's really prominent in being able to take her voice to the streets. So whenever there's an action, a protest, an event around justice or response, it is almost mandatory to have her here to share her gifts. She released a project called Self in the fall. Please check it out. It's dope. And she's working on her sophomore project right now. And she ain't even like a sophomore. She's like young. She's a young prodigy. You are lucky to see her at this point. Please make some noise for Christian Funches, everybody.
I will shield your name. I will field their questions. I will feel your pain. They don't.
Hello. So I'm gonna sing a song for you all entitled Power to My People. And so, yeah. Look what they do to my sisters and brothers. My anger is righteous. And they're paving the streets with our blood, and they want us to keep quiet and keep the peace, but I'm tired, and we're gonna rise up, and we're gonna shut them down, and we're gonna rise up, and we're gonna shut them down. And power to my people, right on, right on. And power to my people, right on, right on. And power to my people, right on, right on. And power to my people, right on, right on. Amen. Thank you.
We're gonna keep this thing right on moving. We have another performer coming up, a young spoken word artist that has been traveling, sharing their art, and focusing specifically on the intersections of Black womanhood, which is an important investigation that needs to be shared as much as possible. So keep making noise. We're gonna keep this thing going. Welcome to the stage, Patricia Frazier.
Don't touch my hair. And it's the feelings I wear. Don't touch my soul.
Okay. How are you guys doing tonight? Okay, so I'm going to read you guys a poem about this beautiful place I come from, Inglewood. And it's called A Black Girl's Attempt to Escape Gentrification. Ingle, verb, to coax. Wood, noun, a land of trees, land of finesse, land of growing, giving birth, burning bush, black belt and red lining, urban planned and dictionary decoded now, most dangerous neighborhood in all of Chicago. Inglewood, the bloody name nobody wants to have, but everybody wants to hold. I heard folks made me a token for Black death, made a sacrilege of me before even stepping foot on my soil. I heard white kids been beatboxing my name in their poems, an imperialism jukebox produced by Fox News. They made a SoundCloud chopped and screwed diss track of my body for street cred. A white girl called me a war zone, but ate my name in the trenches of her teeth. She say, Anglewood. I guess nobody told her my curves too obtuse to fit comfortably between her lips. My name is something earned, a plus-sized pilgrimage only bucket boys know, a covenant of closed schools and colored girls clawing their way out of me. My name is screaming a pleading no, while Rom does what Daley did to my sister Hyde Park, another gentrified black girl gone. But us black girls don't be getting no Amber Alerts. Tried to do the same to me once. Bombed the first black family to make a home in my skin. Gave up when there became more niggas than bombs to throw. Then realized how to bomb a colony of niggas to the TV screen. Call it modern warfare technology. Why you think the anti-Inglewood rhetoric footworks its way through Chicago bodies? A blood clot of black on black crime where Northside neighborhoods get to call their violence intercommunal. I guess that's just the whip of white savior wordplay. The lash is the lasting effect you won't see coming until the Whole Foods of town turn to holes. Grave plots for those who couldn't be whited out and abandoned buildings turned into condos. They've discovered me, immortal black woman. They're trying to start an organ trade, setting me to the sunken place. That's why I pray before y'all make my name a good poem. A liquor store lacquer, a flash mob crip walk on Garfield. I pray somebody writes an ode to Inglewood, turns my name into a city of God and gold, a black hole of black girls resurrecting. But y'all rather my name, the tree that is soiling the rest of the forest, cut down, hill, to a landfill where white privilege plays Rom the Builder with the bloody syllables of my limbs. And nobody asked me for consent before taking my name to make Chicago whatever they need it to be. I raised the girl that wrote poems. Heard she say my name real well. Call me a non-perishable. And if you've ever known me to be anything else, you shouldn't be writing poems about Inglewood.
See, she's telepathic, call it black girl magic. Yeah, she scares the government, deja vu a tough man.
Make some noise one more time for our performer, Miss Patricia. So I'm gonna take a brief second before I bring up our next couple of presenters and do a little work with y'all. Is that okay? All right, so we're gonna talk about this, right? Voices against violence. So whenever I do workshops, whenever I present, I like to just make sure we have a working definition of that concept, because that word gets used so frequently in such a prevalent part of our lives. So we're gonna do a brief 2-minute political education exercise with each other, all right? Cool. So what I'm about to do for you right now is read the World Health Organization's definition of violence. So this is a pretty neutral global source. This is not something I pulled from a Huey P. Newton manifesto or something, right? Like you could take this as a working definition and build on it from there. The intentional use of physical force or power, threatened or actual, against oneself, another person, or against a group or community, which either results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in injury, death, psychological harm, maldevelopment, or deprivation. So we're gonna read that together, all right? So y'all gonna repeat after me. the intentional use of physical force or power, threatened or actual, against oneself, another person, or against a group or community, which either results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in, so this part is important, injury, death, psychological harm, maldevelopment, or deprivation. So what we need to understand is closing down schools is violence, right? Closing down mental health facilities is violence. Having $80 million in the Chicago Housing Authority while we have one of the largest growing homeless populations is violence. Losing our black population due to gentrification in order to make more condos for young white professionals downtown is violence. Investing $4 million a day into our police department while people are starving and dying is violence. Not having a trauma center operating on the south side is violence, right? So when we talk about violence, let's get to the root. Let's not start with the powerless. Let's not start with the victims of violence. Let's get to what's really happening. And so, a lot of times after we get to this point, it gets really dim. You're like, oh shit, am I a part of this right now? You know, I know this is the heavy part, but we got to figure out what we're gonna do, right? And solutions may not be easy. You may not yet have your politics down to how to put it into action. You may not have your philosophy built, but you can figure out what you're against in the meantime, right? So what you can be is not just passive or not just concerned about violence. You can be anti-violent. Right? And you can't be anti-violent without being anti-racist. You cannot be anti-violent without being anti-sexist and anti-patriarchal. You cannot be anti-violent without being anti-homophobic and anti-transphobic, right? You have to be against ageism. All of these oppressive systems. Ism means system. When you hear that word, racism, sexism, those are systems that are distributing power, right? So how in your life are you going to be against that process? Figure that out as a start point, and then you can figure out what you're for. So I'm gonna give y'all 30 seconds. And you're gonna turn to a person next to you, and y'all are each gonna make a commitment of how in your life you're going to be anti-violent. All right, so we can keep this thing on going. Up next, we have two back-to-back Julies, so I hope you are really excited for this. So up first, we're gonna have Julie Beal. I hope I'm pronouncing the last name. Okay, Julie Beal. Julie Beal is a clinical associate professor of law and has served as the director of Children and Family Justice Center since 2009. Her work focuses on the representation of indigent youth charged with crimes in juvenile court and at post-dispositional hearings. I'm not going to read anything else. That feels really important. Everybody please make some noise for Julie Beal as she comes to the stage.
Okay, so I'm the shortest and least talented person speaking to you tonight. Oh, yeah, there's one more short, non-talented person. Thank you, but really important person, nonetheless. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Kevin, for inviting me to this incredibly important event where everyone else has talent and I don't. So I guess what I'm invited to here today to tell you about is the work of the Children and Family Justice Center. This is so weird, Kevin, having this in front of your face. Okay, can I just stand over? No. Can you make it shorter? Oh, Avik, thank you, Avik. I appreciate that. I got it. I can be a performer, no problem. Okay, so anyway, I'm the director of the Children and Family Justice Center. Scott Main, who's here in the audience, is one of the attorneys that works with me. We're a center at the Northwestern Law School, and what we do, actually it's interesting about your definition of violence because I think of our work as anti-violence, but some people, like state's attorneys, think that I'm maybe not anti-violence because the people that we work with and the people that we represent are accused of violent acts, right? But what we think about them and we think about is where they came from and the violence that's been done to them. And so our work comes, I'd say, in three ways. One, preventing the violence so that our clients maybe not make the mistakes that they might have made. I'm not saying they made mistakes, I'm just saying they might have made a mistake. But we have to think about the community, I think he was talking about what Ram has done, right? Closing schools, closing mental health facilities, closing trauma centers, not doing the things that not having jobs for young people. So that's maybe why what we look at when we think about the kind of work that we do. And also the violence that happens to our clients when they go into prison, right? That's a very violent place. And so we think about that system and the racism that he talked about, because we think of that as violence also. Because if you ever go to juvenile court, or you ever go in Cook County, or you go to the Cook County Jail, you won't be surprised, you inform people in this audience, that almost everyone is brown or black, right? And so there's something wrong with why that's happening and why is a system like that. So I just want to just say in the context of the work that I do normally when I describe it, I would tell you that I would be representing young people who have, been incarcerated or maybe have committed a crime, but really what I want to talk about is the work that we do stepping onto the systems and the systems that commit violence onto our clients. So we do individual representation, trying to keep people out of the system and trying to help them when they come back into the community, because that's also an incredibly hard transition when people who have been incarcerated come back to a very unwelcoming place and are also then stigmatized for the rest of their life, which I also think is a violence that we do to people, which is saying you can never work again, you can never do all the things that we want you to do because you once made a mistake in your life. And we have no forgiveness, we have no love that he was talking about. We have no love, we have no acceptance, we have none of that that's sort of endemic into our system. The three sort of coalitions, so anyway, we do individual representation, we also do coalition building, and we also do policy reform work. I'd say those are sort of the three buckets of the kinds of works that we do. And the other thing that I would say about the subjects that we work on is one is that prevention or closing the front door, I like to think about it, the front door to prison and preventing people from going in, and then also helping people get out as quickly as humanly possible and not having an incarceration as the only solution to all the problems that we have, and then preventing people from going back in. So closing the front door, closing the back door, and the revolving door, because that's the other door that we have in our system is the revolving door where people, once you go in, you're gonna go back in. And then we're going to take you back in, and we're going to punish you again and again and again. Kevin asked me to mention things that you could do to work with us, and I just want to mention our three coalitions because I think they're really important, and the third one is probably most relevant for all of you. The first is a coalition that we have to close juvenile prisons. It's called the Coalition for the Reinvestment in Youth and for the Rehabilitation of Youth, and it's called Cry for Justice. And in our state, this is too in the weeds, but we have closed 3 prisons, juvenile prisons, in the last, I'd say 4 years in our state, which is huge. And when you think about it, when I started doing this work, I think there were close to 2,000 young people who were incarcerated in juvenile prisons. I haven't looked it up today, but it's down to about 400. I'm not saying that that's okay. 400 is not okay, but it's not 2,000 when we started doing this work. So that's a dramatic step in the right direction. So that's one of the coalitions that we work on. The second one is the Illinois Coalition for the Fair Sentencing of Children. Julie Anderson, the other short white Jewish, you're not Jewish, right? There's other short Jewish, Julie will tell you about. But it's a coalition that we've worked on to first end the death penalty for juveniles, then end mandatory life without parole for juveniles, and now working on other kinds of extreme sentencing of juveniles. And it's a really important, I thank you, I mean, because that's violence, right? Death penalty and putting young people in prison for life for something that they may or may not have done, or maybe did, as a young person. And the third project that I work on, and there are people that in the audience that work on it with me, is called Building a Safer Chicago. As you all know, I'm sure this audience all knows, that there's been the response of our police and our mayor to the advent of violence, in my opinion, has been not human. There we go. I'll just say that. That's the polite word to say in this environment. But their idea, and it actually sadly passed the House and Senate today in our state, is to send people to prison for longer periods of time, right? That's their solution. So we are in a coalition with a lot of people called the Building a Safer Chicago, and what we put out a report at the end of November to say, and we've been trying to advance this, we tried in the legislature, and a big coalition of folks working on it. Sadly, it failed today, but tomorrow we can be here to fight another day. But we talked about looking at gun violence and looking at our city as sort of a public health issue, the way you would look at any other real problem that a city had, and you wouldn't just solve it by locking more black and brown kids up as your only solution for gun violence. And in this, we talked about trauma, and we talked about restorative justice, and we talked about schools, and we talked about the kinds of things that need to happen if we really are, as a city, going to look at solving the problems of gun violence. So that's a third coalition that we have that we're happy to have any of you work on. So that's what I do, and I'm happy to talk to any of you and invite you to join us in any of our work. Thank you. Okay, is that all right?
Yes. So we can keep this thing right on going. Up next, we're going to bring to this microphone Ms. Julie Anderson. She's the founder and creator of Communities and Relatives of Illinois Incarcerated. She's the mother of a son, Eric, who is currently serving a sentence of juvenile life without parole, and she has been working to provide support for families and communities suffering youth incarceration. So please welcome to the stage Ms. Julie Anderson.
Okay, this is in your face. You know, it's kind of scary for all of you because when Kevin asked me, he said, "Can you speak for 5 minutes?" And I thought, well, I could easily speak for 5 minutes. And when I got here, Tammy said, "Take as long as you want." So sorry. Anyway, you know, there's some things in life that just never, ever get easier. My son, Eric, was convicted of a double homicide, really terrible, when he was 15 years old, and he was sentenced to die in prison. My husband is a retired Chicago police officer. He was a current police officer at the time that happened. We live on the very southwest side of the city, and we probably truly, if we thought about it at all, we certainly thought we were immune to violence, that it would never come our way. And I didn't realize that in the United States, we actually took 15-year-olds, told them they'd never amount to anything, didn't matter what they did for the rest of their life, that they would die in prison. That was 21 and a half years ago. Eric's 37 now, and because of his sentence, he's been in a maximum security prison for 21 and a half years. In June of 2012, the United States Supreme Court ruled that mandatory life sentences for juveniles was cruel and unusual punishment. I rejoiced in that. Because of what happened to Eric, I started a group of family members to support each other who also have children serving this sentence or extremely long sentences of 50, 60, 70 years. We all rejoiced in that. That was 2012. 5 years ago. And I talk about the resilience of this group because they told us that this was against the Constitution. And then the Illinois state's attorneys, hope there's none here, said that, no, in fact, that would only go for future cases. Anyone who had that sentence would stay in prison. So then we went to the Illinois Supreme Court. A case went through, and they said, no, it does go backwards. So we all rejoiced again. I'm actually here to give you like an update of my story. My son, eventually Illinois decided they would not retry the cases. They would do resentencing for all of these. We only have about 80 of them in Illinois, 2,400, 2,200 across the U.S. Many states have taken different approaches. Illinois is pretty tough. So they decided that they would resentence these guys, and Eric was one of those. I rejoiced in that. But one of the first ones that went down, after grueling testimony, they gave him life in prison again. So when my son was 15 when he was arrested, 17 when he was sentenced. When you give a 17-year-old life, I don't think they really know what that means. But when you give a 37-year-old life, it's kind of really a different feeling. So in April, we had our resentencing, and we had 3 days of grueling testimony where my family got up and kind of told the judge what we've done. Eric has had a great prison record, and some of his correctional officers drove 6 hours from Menard to testify on his behalf. And we were grilled. It was really a very horrific experience. And when it was all over, the judge had decided that the maximum sentence that he could give Eric would be 60 years. And go back to old laws, he would have to do 30. And that's what the judge gave him. He didn't give him life. He did give him 60 years, which is 30. It was really a pretty big blow for all of us. But on the other hand, today, for the first time, I went on the Illinois Department of Corrections website, and I looked up my son's number, and instead of saying discharge date, NA, it actually said discharge date August 22nd, 2025, which is far, but I actually have a date that he will get out. So that's a miracle, but right after I got the sentence, and I was really disappointed in it, I went out to the hallway, and a reporter asked me, so what do you think? And of course you're thinking, well, I think a lot of things, but I just said, well, I was really disappointed. But one of the things, I work at Precious Blood Ministry of Reconciliation, and we talk about restorative justice, and we talk about both sides of this. We have victims, and we have offenders, but they really affect the entire community, and everyone loses. So one of the things that happened with this resentencing, as horrific as it was, is Eric got to apologize to those victim family members, something that he has wanted to do for 21 years that we have no mechanism at all in Illinois to do. So the family members sit there and they have no idea that how remorseful you may be or how much you regret that. Thus, restorative justice should come into effect. We need to work as a community to look at forgiveness and really how to change things and move forward. Like I said, I have this group of family members, and the real miracle is when we started meeting like 10 years ago, none of our kids were ever going to get out of prison. And I've met several of their sons now. They've come to our meetings, and it's really been a great feeling. So I guess miracles happen. Thank you.
I want to thank both of the Julies for their very important work. And I don't mean to diminish them by calling them both the Julies, Miss Beal and Miss Anderson. That's really important. I'm just going to give you one more piece of information. It's becoming more prevalent. There's documentaries and a lot of books around it. But just to make sure that we're grounded and get structural in our understanding of violence. Our 13th Amendment says, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So as we're going through the night, right, in case you haven't heard that language recently, what I need each and every person here to know is that every day that you have waken up and drawn breath on this soil in this country, you have lived in a place where slavery is legal, right? You live in a city that has the largest juvenile detention center in the country, and is filled with 99% youth of color. You live in a county that has the largest mental health facility, and that's Cook County Jail, right? So no matter how terrible tragedy is and violence happens in our community, interpersonal violence is a tragedy and we need to address it. But to address violence with violence begets more violence, right? To react to violence with force, to react to violence with torture and detention, to have the legacy of John Burge, the legacy of Holman Square, where young people are tortured and forced into false confessions. In order to invest into this violent system of accountability, we will never be able to address what's happening as long as we are investing into violence as a society, right? So we have to figure out how we're going to be anti-violent. We have to figure out that this is a product of a war-based culture. You take prisoners in war. So we have to figure out new solutions. So I'll invite you to say this with me. Say, let my people go. Set my people free. I'm letting my people know I love you like you were me. Loud. Let my people go. Let my people go. Set my people free. Set my people free. I'm letting my people know. I'm letting my people know. I love you like you were me. Look at somebody. I said I love you like you were me. Two more people. I love you like you were me. One more time. Say, I love you like you were me. Make some noise for yourselves. So we're gonna keep this thing right on going to our next performer who's gonna bless us with some music. Please make some noise and keep clapping your hands for Lyric.
How y'all doing? I'm Lyric the Misfit. I'm from the West Side. Hey, I'm finna perform this song that's really near and dear to me. It's basically reflecting on going through something that's hard and figuring out what to do with it when you're by yourself and learning to grow different. Because granted, everybody grows and you see somebody else growing, you're like, oh, I want to grow like them. But you can't grow like them because your path is different, so you got to grow a different way. So this song is just, it's going off that. It's called Moonflower. I just want to be alone, be alone. Be alone, yeah.
I just wanna be alone.
I just wanna be alone, be alone, be alone, yeah. I just wanna be alone, be alone, be alone, yeah. Please just let me grow, let me grow, let me grow, let me grow. They telling me I done changed, I done changed, I done changed, yeah. But tell me who's to blame, who's to blame, who's to blame, yeah. Have I really? Or is it that you never knew me? I've always been the new me and proceed to the throne alone. Lone wolf, the kush would be better if blessed by self. Love and longevity, bonfires give it back. Woods are the better weed, I'm looking for better me. Planting quarter seeds, looking for the shade that the money trees. Can you feel it, baby? Cause lately, situations ain't been my ideal situations. More like never, I soar higher off this heather. I tried getting my shit together just to get her, but she wasn't for me. She ain't got on Mary, marrying me, vows up with the heavens and the clouds. Such I think I found love. Why am I up in this mood? Just blame it on the solitude. I just wanna be alone, be alone, be alone, yeah. Please just let me grow, let me grow, let me grow, grow. Out of me, I done changed, I done changed, I done changed, yeah. But tell me who's to blame, who's to blame, who's to blame, yeah. I just wanna be alone, be alone, be alone, yeah. Please just let me grow, let me grow, let me grow, yeah. They telling me I done changed, I done changed, I done changed, yeah. But tell me who's to blame, who's to blame, who's to blame, yeah. Fell in love with the silence. This is never quite fond of it. If it is it, sit is it hit or miss. If I miss, I'ma miss this shit. Flip the script, but I wrote it. Made that wave and you wrote it. If I'm spitting flames, can I still be the coldest? I don't know, I guess I'm hoping too much, moping too much, leaving my heart open too much. I don't know what to think anymore, yeah. Am I really that deep in this soul, yeah. Solitude, why do I love you so, yeah. You're never really alone when you know your own soul, yeah. I just wanna be alone, be alone, be alone, yeah. Please just let me grow, let me grow, let me grow, yeah. They telling me I done changed, I done changed, I done changed, yeah. But tell me who's to blame, who's to blame, who's to blame, yeah. But tell me who's to blame, blame. blame, 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 blame.
Do I blame
I'ma
me?
blame it on me.
Do I blame you?
You gon' blame it on you.
'Cause I don't know who.
We gon' blame it on the solitude.
Do I blame you?
Do I blame? 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 Do I blame you?
That's one of the coldest hip hop beats of all time. Make some noise one more time for Lyric for that dope performance. And we'll keep it right on going with another musical performance back to back, and make some noise for Famous Inky, y'all.
How's everybody feeling today? No, how's everybody feeling today? That's more better. Can I get y'all a mini concert, please? In order for me to do that, y'all gotta participate with me, rock with me, you feel me? Y'all gotta, vibe with me as well. Can I have everybody hold their fingers up? There you go. We holding our fingers up for the violence that's in Chicago. Play that music, DJ. For everybody that lost somebody. I love the participation.
Damn, Dave.
You all can put your fingers down. They told me not to rap on this beat because it's Tupac, and I'm from Chicago. But I'm gonna do it anyway. So this ass gonna go. Listen to the words. Here's a heads up, no lack and keep your head up. Guns open in Shadrack without the needle and thread up. I know our people fed up, red up, blood shed up. Bodies dropped and shot dead up through it all. We keep our head up. We've been hurt, laughed, too used, and even broken. Catching every emotion that's closing the greatest moment. Skin color been chosen, stolen what we make golden. Yeah, off of that token, that root of power has broken. Spoken as a grown man, don't call me no rapper. I'm a rapper. I ghost right friendly than Casper. What's the matter? It's laughter. It's all life matters. But blacks is the only one the word coming after race disaster. Who the real social media master? Facebook and Instagram killing the word fast. Broadcaster, forecaster, newscaster, kill cancer, HIV and all the other answers. They try to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. Future to lead, read, even teach and breathe. Don't get me wrong, everything in the word got needs. Seen the blood thicker than water in the river to bleed. While the media feed, you just tasting the greed. Now you judged up on your life, asking how do you plead? Why open for your ears to receive? Why you hoping what our hoes? I hope you thinking on these. Ink. Play that beat. This my hit that I made.
How y'all doing?
With good music.
I'm Famous Inc.
It's called Why Me? It's not just about me, it's about all of us. We living in the same struggle and we're going through the same thing. So let me talk to you.
Excuse the profanity.
Me, I'm INK, why me? I be the best MC. I'm Petey Green with the truth. Let me set you free. You get a feature with me. Attached fee not free. Delivery. I'm trying to get a statue of liberty. Y'all do it for the fame and to do it for publicity. I ain't even dead yet. Y'all already missing me. Wishing we been together trying to find a memory artillery. Guns on the shoulders. And my city got more war than soldiers. Over. It's a scary sight. October. Polar. Baby, I've been pushing like a stroller. Roller. Rover. Ran through the coaster. As I get closer, I choose to go over. Yeah, I'm still young, but my mind getting older. Mind getting wiser. No one can get over. Solar system. Got us in the system. Got us in submission. As another victim. We gotta wake up for we all be missing. The main competition is trying to be persistent. Y'all get it? Look, why me? Why me? They wanna take a pic with me. Why need ID? Vanilla Ice, Ice Cube mixed with Ice T. The GOAC, Hip Hop Ali. Why me? Hold y'all hands up. There you go.
Why me?
I like that.
Why me?
Why me? Why me? Why me? Why word right there? Why me? Y'all hear? Why me? Why? Why? Just ask yourself why. It's in. Why me? Lord, why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? Why him? Why her? Why them? Why me? Yeah, Lord, why me? I say, why me? Why me? Why me? Why him, why her, why? In order to get respect, fight for it, don't shoot. Bitter root, prosecute, 21 gun salute. I walk in, parachute up, set the tooth for my suit. Just salute, I'm doing me. In the course with the money. But I don't let the root of evil tell me chewing the fruit. Woody showed me how the Timberlands get snakes in the boot. Say the people real reason, listen. And say, we was all humans till the race disconnect us. Then they let religion separate us. Then they let them politics divide us. Wealth classifies, true verifies. They trying to tear fast. I pray the Lord guide us. Joy rag gliders, bitching other riders. Out of insiders, joy riders with the low riders. Shine right survivors. Casper not a friendly ghost, or why me? There you go. There you go, clap it up.
Why me? Why me? Why him? Why her? Why them? Why me? Hey, why me? Why him?
Why her? Why them? Why me? Lord, say why me? I'm just asking, Lord, why me? Why me? Why him? Why her? Why them? Why me? Why me? Why him? Why her? Why them? Why me? Why me? Oh, why him? Why her? Why them? Why me? Lord, why me? I'm just asking, Lord, why me? Why me? Why him? Why her? Why them? Why me? Why me? Why him? Why her? 11 years old, seen the baby shot up off the bike. A 2-year-old, I seen the baby get hit by a straight bullet that wasn't meant for him. Why him? Why her? Why them? Why us? Just think about it.
Make some noise one more time for Famous Inky, y'all. He was rapping, he was spitting. Bars so cold, he had to keep his coat on, you know what I'm saying? Put the hood on and everything. It was too cold up here. He had to warm up. but this is beautiful. I'm really happy to be here. Up next, I'm really excited to bring this next person to the stage. I was able to meet with them just one-on-one like a couple weeks ago, not even that long ago, and I am a big fan of her. She is powerful, and she is going to be a world changer for decades to come. She is one of the lead organizers of a formation called Youth for Black Lives that were young black women in Chicago public high schools who, in response to the police killings of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile this past summer, put together a mass mobilization of thousands of mostly young high school-aged people that marched through the city. So she's gonna come share her work with you, present about what she does. Everybody, please make some noise. Somebody I am fond to know, as if your grandma's coming to the stage right now. Get on loud for Miss Eva Lewis, y'all.
Hello. I'm gonna try that again. Hello. How are y'all? I'm glad. Oh, someone said, how am I? I'm good, thank you. My name is Eva Lewis. I'm a senior at Walter Payton College Prep, also a representative of Youth for Black Lives, as well as my nonprofit, the I Project. I want to tell y'all a little bit about Youth for Black Lives. Who's seen Kevin Koval's book, A People's History of Chicago? Who's seen the cover? So that was our protest on the cover. Thank you. So basically, it was me and 3 other people, 3 girls in high school, rising seniors and juniors at the time, and one girl tweeted, she was like, I'm having a sit-in, and the rest of us were like, oh, you need help? And that's literally what happened, y'all. And so we ended up in a group chat, and then meanwhile, the tweet was getting thousands of retweets, and we were like, oh my God, what's going on? And so we ended up mobilizing 2,000 and more like young people having no arrests and crossing the Chicago Bridge, which hadn't been done before. Thank you. Thank you. And since then, we founded Youth for Black Lives, which is entirely run by high school femmes. We are queer, Afro-Latinx, Afro-Indigenous, African-American, African, Northwest Side, South Side, West Side, East Side. I'm the only East Sider because South Shore is the only East Side neighborhood, but it's fine. So we are pretty representative of everybody, and we entirely run ourselves. So we had 2 protests over the summer. We had one we tried to have one, and then white people in Mount Greenwood were like, we're going to shoot you on sight, and then we were like, never mind. But we ended up holding, well, in response to that, the mayor was like, you can't have this meeting. And we were like, we won't have this meeting if you arrange a meeting with the alderman of Mount Greenwood, the principal of Marist High School, and the superintendent. Thanks. And so dude was like, 1 minute, and so he walked out. And he came back in and he was like, oh, okay, the meeting's set for 1 o'clock tomorrow. Mind you, it was 2 the day before, so it was 23 hours later. And we had that meeting. We demanded several things. One was monthly meetings, and the second one was a curriculum that all police will have to go through, teaching them about the Black Lives Matter movement, and both of those were met. So that's what we're currently working on. We're working on a curriculum to teach police officers about Black history, and we're not doing this hoping that it's gonna end, right? So we're not like trying to work with and expect like a grand change, but what we are trying to do is make progress and try things that haven't been tried before, and that's what it's all about, right? Right. On the topic of violence, another thing I do is the I Project, and I think it was about 2 weeks ago, I had a concert called Education Emancipation. I arranged a concert to raise money for my local elementary school, Boucher Elementary, which is 98% Black, low income, 13% homeless, and 19% of the students there are meeting or exceeding state standards. So I spent a year for my senior project raising money. We raised about $5,000 so far. We're trying to raise $25,000. With that $5,000, we were able to provide 50 kids with in-school Chromebooks. Thank you. If we get $25,000, each kid at Boucher gets an in-school Chromebook, which is so important. Thank you. And I also created zines that are educationally accessible, teaching people about the correlation between gun violence in Chicago and poor funding of education. It was just 2 generations ago that people were learning in trailers and getting half a days of CPS education, so we can't expect everyone to be able to go to college and get a well-paying job. People aren't fighting for fun. People are fighting for resources. I personify people in Chicago as fish in a fishbowl with 1 flake of food. And so that's what we're trying to do. Like, everyone's just trying to fight for survival, and you can't blame people for fighting for survival. We shouldn't be targeting the tactic. We should be making sure that there are resources so that that tactic is not an option to happen in the first place. Thank you. So, if you would like to get involved with Youth for Black Lives stuff, we have a Twitter. It's Youth for BLK Lives. We also have an email, youthforblacklives@gmail.com, and we are very responsive. Also, if you Google me, my name is Eva Lewis, you're gonna find something. So you'll find like Youth for Black Lives or I Project something. I usually don't tell people to Google me, but honestly, I don't have a business card because I thought that was like a previous generation type of thing, so that's the best way. And with that, I've been told to do a poem because I'm also an LTAB student, so I'm gonna do a poem. Thank you. Okay, are y'all ready? I'm sorry, I was just like, going. Okay, cool. This is Somewhere on the Red Line towards Howard past 35th. I share a train car with a white man and a woman personifying burden. She unconsciously assimilates into the background. I wouldn't notice her at all if she weren't Black or crying, or if the sound of her tears weren't so recognizable to my subdued Black body, which has experienced the same pain. The neckline of her coat, blotchy, with patches stained darker from dampness, buttons mix-matched, the last in the second hole, as though she was in a rush, as though she were running from something. Her hemline falls mid-calf, and I wonder what she has to hide, and why she thinks she has to hide it, and if she is warm, because it is 75 degrees out at 7 a.m., and she's in layers as though her skin isn't enough. And to the white man on the car, what is troublesome despite her woman, the Jezebel between her legs that whispers to him, the space she inhabits without permission despite the money she earned to ride, her pencil with curls, and the way they stand upward instead of downward. Despite the fact that her tears are not as subdued as mine, it's the root of her pain and how it resonates at a time too early for processing, too early for white male guilt. Because at 7 a.m., he processes work and she processes how to get to work without a man touching her, and how to work without a man touching her, and how to cautiously exist. All bodies of water are created by women. A time capsule of traumas, the most common being childbirth, sometimes miscarriage. Babies snatched from the arms of black women, sold for 1/5 a black man, used as alligator bait. Watching the lynchings of fathers, brothers, sons, rape, colonialism by pale seeds planted in fertile soil without consent. Bruises the shape of a hand against buttermilk skin. Leftover dark energy from the projects. Spilled blood of unarmed babies, the arming of babies. Mistrust matched with loyalty. Forced marriage for fixed income. A broken heart from death or a nigga. All of which, or one of which, or none of which the woman made herself a burden because of. The woman was burdened for being woman, for being black, for existing despite endless attempts to dehumanize her, for making her existence audible, but even more so for feeling its repercussions. As I exit the train car, I carry her baggage and my own onto the platform. Thank you.
My daddy Alabama, mama Louisiana. You mix that Negro with that Creole, make a Texas Bama. I like my baby hair with baby hair and afro. I like my Negro nose with Jackson 5 nostrils. I earned all this money, but they never take the country out.
Say we won't do what we've been told. We can't take it anymore. Swear that this is getting old. We gon' make a new world. We can't take it, we can't take it, we can't take it, we can't take. We gon' make it, we gon' make it, we gon' make it, we gon' make. We gon' take it, we gon' take it, we gon' take it, we gon' take. We can make it, we can make it, look at all that we can make. Welcome to the journey to freedom. Those before us left lessons, we gonna learn and repeat them. We not gonna follow directions, cause we know that they cheating. The game has been rigged, but into the code and you'll beat it. The North Star ain't the brightest, but it's the one that you seeing. Just follow your spirits, cause we was born with the secrets. We gonna find what we seeking. Our hearts gonna keep beating. Every day is the party. It don't just start on the weekend. We going harder than semen, marching, discarding our demons. Bombarding the garden, led by the daughters of Eden. We are all that we needed, clever and never defeated. We do it better together. They want us broken, competing. We defining this moment and giving life a new meaning. We defying the owners, open and bold with our treason. We blowing dope and we drinking cause we be coping with trauma, drama, mama fussing, cussing, and little cousins be bleeding. All of the homies be tweaking, getting locked up for no reason. Hunting us all year, we not just cuffed in the season, catching feelings, healing, but still throwing shade in the evening. If you saw the impossible, would that make you believe it? Boarding up our schools, they still don't want us reading, trying to shut us up, cause they don't want us screaming, but we done woke up now. We'll show them what we've been dreaming. Oh, you got us messed up. But here come the Redeemer. Stop. Move to the beat of my drum. Who can you feed with a crumb? And what can you grow with a seed? Our bodies don't burn in the sun. Build it up and then they'll come. Can't freely have fun with your funds. We know that freedom ain't free. We need role models and teachers for this world swallowing eaters. But it's hard to know who to follow when everyone around you's a leader. Do it for Darian and Adia, Dame Mo and Rakia. We'll fix it or break it down, but one way or another, they'll see us. What happened when prisons abolished? Well, hustlers put kids through college. You learn money can't fix every problem, but we don't need a school to get knowledge. But we still gonna grind for them dollars. Ain't no leash or tie on my collar. The stories revised, we writing the lies. Don't rock and roll, but we got honor. Rock and roll, no Madonna. Ooh, no Rolling Stones, no Nirvana. I'm Chuck Berry and I'm Barry White and I'm very tight with my mama. And I got every right to go crazy. Them scary nights is what made me. But still I rise to still the prize. You be ill-advised to try to play me. How y'all doing? So I definitely want to make sure that we give love as much as we can to the Chicago Reporter for making this happen. We got a few more people who's going to come to the stage, and also YCA and Louder Than the Bomb and the whole family for putting this together. I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for the man who I'm about to bring to the stage right now. Who's going to talk a little bit more about all the things that are going on and how this event came about. Please make some noise right quick for the homie Kevin Koval.
One more label try to stop me. It's going to be some dreadhead niggas in your lobby.
Yo, hey, first of all, make some noise for yourselves for being here this evening. Thanks so much for rocking with us. Thank you for being here. Of course, give it up for your DJ Cashera one time, y'all. If already you've been motivated or inspired tonight, make some noise. You know? It's been a good night. And you know, I think of Eva, I think of Damon, I think of everybody who's been involved. You know, before I talk about them, I want to thank the Chicago Reporter for involving us at Young Chicago Authors and Louder Than a Bomb to help put on this evening. I think that there's something about this generation of young people in Chicago right now, you know, 14 to 28. I think that we are in the midst of maybe one of the most exciting times in the history of Chicago. And I don't know if there's something in the water. I don't know. I think that there is a mix right now of culture and politic and young people who are artists and organizers and artists, organizers and organizers who are artists, and this rich mix of young people who inevitably this generation will make the city better and fresher and more equitable for all people. Now, part of what we have to do then as grown folks or folks who have access to institutions is that we need to get out of the way and also be around to open the spaces so they could come in and make them what they will make them. And we have a history of not doing that in Chicago. You know, we have a history of criminalizing young people when they come into an institution. We have a history of, you know, of taking our ideas and placing that upon them. And I think we need to open the space, and we need to be in discourse with these genius young people who are changing the way the city will work. And we need to hear what it is they're doing. We need to hear what it is they're saying, because right now they're taking the democratized tools of technology to not only organize, but also circumnavigate multinational corporations in order to find an audience, a fan base, and really, I think, build a new cultural landscape for the city of Chicago. And if you change the culture, you're going to change the politics. And if you change the politics, you're going to change the policies, and that's what we need dearly. I'm going to share a poem with y'all about a young man who I've been thinking a lot about tonight and always, because as a city, we did not do a good job of protecting him. Chairman Fred Hampton was assassinated when he was 21. And part of what shook the center the most is that he was not only unleashing his radical imagination into the civic sphere, but he was also bent on organizing people across lines that typically will keep us from one another. He was building with the young lords. He was building with the young patriots, progressive white folks in Appalachia. And what terrifies the center the most than black and brown solidarity? You know, them working people coming together across every imaginable boundary to do away with the terror of capitalism and really begin to build a powerful center of the people. This is in honor of all the young people that we need to be bent on protecting. The assassination of Chairman Fred Hampton, December 4th, 1969. The Panthers came home to the west side near Chicago Stadium where the Bulls play and no memorial sits. There's a statue for Mike, but nothing for Mark, Clark, or Chairman Fred. What shook Hoover? Black children eating breakfast, starting the day with sustenance and the free conversation between the real Rainbow Coalition, Young Lords, Young Patriots, and the Non-Aggression Pact the Panthers organized, an alliance of street organizations that loved the Second Amendment a lot and black people the most. Seco barbital, a sedative, was slipped into his drink by an informant, Fred, to sleep forever in the blood bed next to Akua, 8 months blooming. At 4:45 a.m., CPD and FBI bust through the door, knew exactly where the chairman was, because the blueprint, COINTELPRO, 2 shots point blank in the mind of a genius. Fred of Maywood, 21 years old, executed by the state for being with the proletariat against the pigs. The last words on his lips, I am a revolutionary. All right, y'all.
As we're getting close to close, I'm really excited to bring up this next act and performer. This is somebody I'm proud to first call a homie, a friend, a brother of mine, but he's also an amazing leader. He has inspired me with his work and with his passion. He's an abolitionist. He was a part of a coalition that organized a response to the death of his friend Dominique Franklin, and took a group of young black people to the United Nations in Geneva to talk about police abuse and police violence here in Chicago on a global stage. He's also an amazing performer, artist, writer, educator, circle keeper. Please make some noise for my man, Ethos.
Peace, everybody. My name is Ethan. I also go by Ethos. I'm a poet, an organizer, abolitionist, and a peace circle keeper, born and raised on the far north side of the city in a place I like to call the North Pole. And I'm repping a few different things tonight. First and foremost, I want to shout out Young Chicago Authors and the Chicago Reporter for putting this together, definitely. Can everyone give it up one time? I also got to shout out my squad that birthed me into the social justice movement, Circles and Ciphers, up in Rogers Park. And the last group, as my homie over here, Chucky Allah Gets Ready, a group I'm part of called Thy Neighborhood, that's trying to really bridge that gap between music and politics that Kevin talked about, changing the culture around what politics in this city looks like. And speaking of things in the city and what they look like, we're talking about violence. And I kind of want to reframe violence because I see a lot of pictures, and I'm so glad to see all these images of resistance against the system. And it was funny on all the news stations, they were calling this acts of violence. But is stopping a road an act of violence? Or is 16 shots in the middle of the street of a child an act of violence? We have to reframe what our ideas are of violence. And shutting it down might not be too violent. So this piece is called Shut It Down. I was born in a dungeon, a stone's throw away from death. Police state resident, they've been trying to book me since I was 12. My city got a vendetta on me, and every brother so-called banging, hanging bandanas out of back pockets, waging war against this city, wanging drill and waving set signs out whip windows. Watch black hands peel clips back, kill, click, clack. I wonder how much hate it take to make us hurt ourselves and kill each other. How much hate do you have to feed to people to make them beat their sister and kill their brother? I know. How about over 400 years of this shit? Of these institutions brewing policies, pushing brown people to the border with the gavel and the gun. These fallacies disguised as order, marginalization from the one. It starts when we're young. Schools ain't got no bread. Teacher kick him out the class like he got a hard head. Principal push him out the school like that ain't nothing new. One black boy down, more like one less bill to spend. It started before we were born. Criminalization of the brown and poor. The violence in the city is only a symptom of an unbalanced and broken, sick system. I can see the glass ceiling separation between us with less and them with more. This city is fucking sick. Its silicone face of downtown masked the decay of the children dying in its belly. This city is sick. Thirst and hunger exasperized, enrollment denied, loans denied, fears force-fed, and dreams sidelined. Shit, there may be a time for peace and harmony to exist, but they won't stop killing our kids. It's time for us to resist. And right now, at this very moment, they got 5 million of our soldiers locked in a cage or with trackers on their feet. Imagine what would change with all that black rage released to the street. Shut it down. Nothing to lose but our chains, so there is no defeat. Shut it down. So when we talk about violence, you know, everyone wants to call Chicago the most violent city, and I would agree. We have the most violent educational system, underfunded educational system in the country. We have one of the most violent police forces that has gave over almost $1 billion in the last decade for people suing them. If any other public institution failed the city of preventing what it's supposed to do, preventing violence, and cost it this much money, 40% of our operating budget, it would be gutted and destroyed as they're destroying the social institutions that actually help our people. So this next piece is dedicated to my friend Dominique Franklin, who Damon mentioned earlier. Dominique Franklin, who we call Damo, was murdered by the Chicago Police Department May 20th, 2014, when he was accused of stealing a bottle of vodka from a Walgreens. And I think that shows what the city sees violence as, a life for a bottle of liquor. And this next piece is called CPDK. This goes out to Gaza, the West Bank, West Baltimore, North St. Louis, the South Side of Chicago. Everywhere they turn up on the police. Rest in peace, Dominique. If you come from where I come from, police is a constant. Military occupation, only thing to call it. We could occupy the Wall Streets, the law in my hood, pulling black children over like, put your hands on hood. Tell them, spread your legs, bitch. Don't you dare move your mouth, for my fist meet your lips. I remember them feeling on my nuts like I had rocks in my dick. Mom's locked up for a week, lose a job, can't see the kids. One dead every day, bodies piling Auschwitz. They stole my nigga, left him filled up with lead. Left him dead in the street, tasered twice in the head. He was dead in a week. Rest in peace, Mike Brown, Dominique. Motherfuck the police. Not a question, this an answer. Me and thy neighbors trying to eradicate the cancer. CPD, some overseers. Rahm Emanuel, a master. Kick Warner out of office. Tried to kill us niggas faster. And I don't know about y'all, but I had enough. We about to shut down 12. We don't really give a what. Said I don't know about y'all, but I had enough. We about to shut shit down. We don't give a fuck the police. Fuck the police. Let me hear it. What? CPDK. Fuck the police. Fuck the police, fuck the police. Dominique Franklin, Dominique. Dominique Franklin, Dominique. Dominique Franklin, Dominique. Thank you. My name is Ethos.
Shout out, bro. He turned it all the way up, didn't he? We to the max with it. We not playing. So yeah, before I bring up Ms. Richardson and close back out. Wait, hold on. Do me a favor. Look at somebody and say, I love you. All right, do me one more favor. Look at somebody else and say, I love you. All right, one last time, and I'll leave you alone. One last person, look at them and say, I love you. All right, and now make a noise for all of our performers that came up and everybody who presented. It was really powerful for me to watch this start with Martinez and how, his work and his courage has impacted us as a movement, and it's in with Ethos and how his uplifting of the loss and tragic loss of his friend, and Dominic Franklin, has also galvanized our city in the political radical activity that's been happening for the last 3 years. So it has been a privilege for us to share this space together, and I hope that we all appreciate that. Before I get out of here, though, for those who want to participate in the movement, for those who want to know what's going on with my organization, Let Us Breathe Collective, first you can follow us at Let Us Breathe 773 or look up the Let Us Breathe Collective on Facebook. Where we are right now is we are opening up and we've been developing a new communal center on 51st and Bishop. It's something we're really excited about. It's a 2-story facility. Thank you. Yes, so for those who either want to participate or for those who can't participate and also want to support, you can hit us up on all of those things online. You can also find me. We need resources. We are putting an anti-violent politic into institution, and we are doing that through organizing to redistribute resources, organizing to develop abolitionist space, organizing to figure out how we can create real democratic processes through healing the trauma that has been inflicted on us individually and generationally, and then creating what we want through performance, art, and system building. And so we have to get out of this system. It's not gonna work, right? We cannot keep investing in violence. We have to find new ways, and so we are trying to do that. So consider that an invitation on this journey, all right? So y'all can see me around. I'm probably not gonna leave too quick. You can also just holler at me. You can DM me. Oh, I'm on Twitter, Damon_AF. We can DM, we can link, y'all can come see it. Welcome, all right? And we're gonna end this thing with how we started. I'm really grateful to have been here, and the Chicago Reporter is doing very important work on collecting information and giving us access to knowledge to know about how our city is spending these resources for violence. So just the same way we started, to close out, I'm gonna bring back to the stage Ms. Susan Richardson.
Well, you can't leave yet, and I've never had such a good soundtrack in my life, so I feel like I should have done more than just walk out here. Whew. This was a powerful night, right? I want to thank everybody who participated, telling their story, telling us truth. But I got to start by mentioning our other partner in this event. We've talked about young Chicago authors. I love them. I also want to thank Public Narrative for being a part of this conversation tonight. They do important and wonderful work to help people find their voice and communicate their voice when it's hard to be heard. We learned that tonight. So I can't go without talking a little bit about the journalism. Today, I'm never sure if someone's gonna throw something at me or say, oh, we're so happy to see you. In this world of fake news, right? Journalists don't have that space they once had. I wanna pick up on something that Kevin said, because this is the type of journalism that we wanna do at the Chicago Reporter. So Kevin mentioned Fred Hampton, Chairman Fred Hampton, who was assassinated here. A backstory and a true story about the power of journalism in the public interest. You all know COINTELPRO, the program that was started by J. Edgar Hoover. Here's something that's important to understand about the power of journalism and its potential to change lives and change policy. In the early 70s, a group of activists broke into an FBI station in Media, an FBI facility in Media, Pennsylvania. This has been written about in a book called The Burglars. They stole a bunch of, or you could say liberated, you choose the language, because tonight words are important, right? Let me say they took some FBI files. They released those files to a journalist at the Washington Post. Her name was Betty Metzger. Years later, she ended up writing a book about this. My point is, we would not have known about COINTELPRO if those activists had not taken that information, but also if they had not been given to a journalist who spent her career and life trying to tell that story. We would not have known about a campaign sanctioned by the FBI against people who disagreed and dared to speak truth to power. That's the power of journalism. Our work as journalists is only as good and meaningful as our relationship with communities. If we don't have that, what do we have? We don't write stories for ourselves. We write stories because we hope, as journalists, we can bring information to people that will affect policies, but that are going to affect lives. Because behind every policy is a human being, is a life. It's not just a number, people. That's why tonight, doing this event with Young Chicago Authors in partnership with Public Narrative was so important to us. Yes, we write about this community, but we also live here. We're a part of this community. So when you all came in tonight, you saw this card. It talked about a project that we launched a year ago. It is one way that we are trying to talk about the violence that is here, but also how it affects all of us, whether you have been affected directly, like when I asked you to stand, or whether you have been affected because you live in this city, you pay taxes here, and you pay for services, or you don't get services. We created a database last year called Settling for Misconduct. It looks at the number of police lawsuits in the city. This week, we're updating that with a new story, but also with new information from 2016. Part of that story was both the data, and our database reporter, Joan Newman, and our data editor, Matt Kiefer, spent a lot of time looking at the figures and numbers. But behind the amounts in these settlements and lawsuits are stories of people. We made the point of telling those stories because the numbers aren't enough. We can say millions of dollars have been spent, but you also need to understand too the stories of the people and how these issues happen, how misconduct happens, and what the system is that allows it to continue. We hoped what we did was put together the pieces to explain how it happens. And we hope that it is a tool for people to use and understand what is happening in their community and information that they can use to act on, however you choose to act with that information. So we want you to make sure this week that you look at the new information in the database, Settling for Misconduct, which we'll have out on Thursday. But beyond that, I want to say what has been so powerful about tonight is that it has reminded us, and I think I'm speaking for the staff, of why we do what we do. You know, a lot of us went to journalism school, we're passionate about storytelling, we care about reporting, we want to have an impact, we want to be part of making a better society. But you know what we never get to do enough of is to be humbled by hearing people tell their own stories. That is much more powerful than any story we could write. So I want to thank everybody who had the strength, who had the courage, who had the conviction to get up and tell your stories tonight. And finally, I want to thank once again Public Narrative, and I want to thank Young Chicago Authors. None of this would have happened without that partnership, and I want to thank the wonderful people I get to work with every day, so I know all of them aren't in here, but I'm going to embarrass them and make them stand up and just be recognized. And I will lead with the applause. Thank you so much. We hope that you'll look at the database. We hope, too, that you will continue the spirit of this evening tonight and the voices that we've heard. We appreciate you. Good night.